So now we move on to the one wave symbol, and we're going to adjoin some text onto this. So we have the mood board up top as before, and the pin boards to the right. What I wanted to do was maybe get something that was similar to the Rip Curl font, because I quite like this. And if we look back at the logo design questionnaire, the client does state at the bottom that they like the Rip Curl logo too. So I went to dafont.com and searched a series of futuristic style fonts, and I whittled down to these three, and as before I put the symbol alongside each. This time I'm going to put the symbol above, because this is where I feel we're going to end up with the symbol. Now the text isn't kerned at this point, but we'll just make do. We can still get a feel of how it looks. Now with that done, I'm decided upon the first option because I feel like this font resembles Rip Curl a bit more closely than the other two, and I think it flows nicely. So I'm going to delete these, and I'm going to use this logo as a basis to revise. So now I'm going to make a copy of this by selecting it, Alt Shift dragging down with the left mouse button, and I'm going to go to type, and I'm going to go to create outlines to make shapes of the font. So this makes it easier to kern, and that's exactly what we're going to do now. So bringing the R closer to the S, zooming in helps a lot at this stage. F closer to the I, bringing the whole of the word point closer to first. The I to the O, and finally the T closer to the N. I'm going to jump right in and insert the tagline here, which is surfing, as you can see in the client's questionnaire. There we have it at number 2. And there's a font I'm going to use which is simple, called Earthbound. That's a nice simple font for a tagline. And I'm going to take it out to 1200 in the tracking in the character panel, and I'm going to press return. Now the main text of the font is a nice italic which suggests movement or speed, which is appropriate in a surfing logo. So I'd like to make the tagline italicize also to match this text and give the same feel. So highlighting it and going to the character panel, clicking below the font name, we should be able to select an italic option. So there we have it there. Some fonts don't have an italic option, so in that case we do the following. We go to the transform tool, free transform tool in the tools panel, and we click upon that, and we click the top of the box. Holding Control on the keyboard, we can now drag across to make any font or graphic lean to the side. So holding Shift to keep it on a horizontal axis, we can drag that while still holding Control left mouse button dragging across, and now that becomes italic. So just for the sake of making use of that, haven't done it, I'm going to use that in the design, because this is actually more italicized than the italic font. So I'm going to trace this down also, which means converting the type to shapes. The type create outlines. Now, although I do feel this looks okay at this point, the text that is, I'd like to put some bullet points at either side of the tagline, and I'm doing this just for a sense of balance and to fill in the white gaps somewhat between the end of the G and the start of the S. So we do that, highlight all of that, go to group and bring it down slightly. Okay, now we want to make another copy of this to refine further. So I still feel as if this is too airy at the bottom, there's too much space. So what I'm going to try is a horizontal line, or a rule as you might call it, using the rectangle tool. I'm going to drag a rectangle across, not too thick, and that'll do, so that this line matches the italics of the font. What I'm going to do is draw a rectangle, and I'm going to move to the corner of the rectangle until I get the arrows to rotate it. I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to match the angle of the font. And I'm going to copy the angled rectangle across once it's matched, holding shift to keep it on the horizontal, and I'm going to put it at the end on the right hand side. So now with that selected on the right, I'm going to hold shift, click the horizontal rule. In the Pathfinder panel I'm going to go to minus front, and this will deduct the angled rectangle from the horizontal rule. Likewise I'm going to do the same with the rectangle on the left, but I have to bring this to the front, so I go to object arrange, bring to front. So now the angled rectangle's at the front. So holding shift rather, clicking the left mouse button and selecting the horizontal rule, we'll do the same again. Pathfinder minus front. So there we go. I'm pulling out with a magnifying glass. We can review that further. I'm going to bring the tagline down, and horizontal rule and tagline. Okay, so now reviewing this logo as a whole, it's just occurred to me that the symbol looks like a capital D. Now it's something that should occur to me during the stages of designing the symbol, however sometimes this happens, and it's happened in this case. So what I'm going to do is, to remedy this, I'm going to highlight the symbol, I'm going to go to the top right hand corner until the cursor changes to arrows, and I'm going to rotate it. With that simple rotate, I can now take away from the feeling that this symbol's a capital D, whilst emphasising the peak of the surfboard on a wave. It takes away slightly from the feel of the one, which is now angled, but this is the compromise that we make. With that done, I feel as if this symbol looks right against the text. Now at this point I could give some life to the text and I could apply an effect, but if applying an effect to italicized text, particularly an arc which I had in mind, we'll see the result. So we click effect warp arc after grouping all the text, and we click preview. Let's just take it up to 24 just to emphasize this point, and click OK. Now you'll see that text looks a little bit wrong when it's arced. This is due to the fact that all of it's italicized. So if we wanted to apply this effect, we'd have to rebuild the text again with non-italicized characters, so that when it's arced it looks correct and doesn't lean too much to the right. So this is where our revisions come into play again, above. So we can select the original font, which is electrified. So we go to edit, copy that, we scroll down, and you can see beneath the name of the font in the character panel, it's currently on bold italic. Click that and we just select bold. This should rid of the italicized text, and there we have it. Downside is we do need to go through the kerning process again, but we'll do that quickly. We'll go to type, create outlines, and object ungroup. Just ensuring that each character is of equal spacing. I'm bringing the whole of the word point towards first. And we're ready for the tagline, which is surfing, and that is in earthbound font and it's in bold, so we're going to put that there. We're also going to redraw those bullet points that were at either side. And we're going to draw the horizontal line once more. If we have Smart Guide switched on with Control and U, you'll see that will match up with the green line. And we'll increase the size of that again, and we'll just ensure that the tagline and the bullet points are grouped. Bring this down for spacing. Group all. Object group once highlighted, and we'll bring that down. I'm going to go to type, create outlines, so that the tagline is now shapes and not a font. I'm going to make that a little bit smaller. Scroll down to refine and ungroup, and I'm going to go to that effect again, warp arc, and now we're going to have a better result. Taking that down slightly, clicking OK, bring that down, and we'll go to object, expand appearance, so the outlines meet that of the effect, and we enlarge that, and that marks the finished logo ready for colouring.